Hey, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Independence Day if you're catching this on the 4th of July. We're going to do an edition of the Pocket Change Market Report. Just a kind of like a one-shot deal. I did one of these last month and people actually liked it. But as you guys know, I did not do a regularly scheduled Pocket Change Market Report over the weekend. Being that it's a holiday weekend, we were officially out of town, at that point. But we have this one here. I'm going to start doing this once a month, and the big reason why that I'm doing what they call the graded coin edition, because like I've said, you don't necessarily have to grade a lot of these coins, but I'm going to say that there are exceptions to be made, and oftentimes the coins that you're going to see on this video are going to be just that, those particular exceptions. But again, 99% of the coins out there that are some sort of measurable error or variety really doesn't need to be graded. They all certainly solve for themselves. And another X factor you have to take into consideration is going to be the raw cost of sending these out. PCGS charges $65 just for an error attribution, and GC is nearly half that, but it's a little bit on the higher side, like $38 in total. That's a submission with the error attribution. But something to kind of figure into the equation if you're going to grade these to resell them is that there is quite a bit of an expense to grade them and get them in holders, along with the shipping and insurance and all that. But I would say that these particular sellers knocked it out of the park. These are, of course, just brilliant examples of coins that probably are deserved of some sort of graded holder, and we're going to take a look at that. Now, we're going to highlight a lot of coins that have sold in the last 30 days, and that's the primary reason why I'm doing this once a month. I don't want to dilute down the channel with a bunch of different report videos. We have a couple dedicated issues throughout the month, all right, and we're just going to keep it like that. We're going to keep those particular issues of the PCMR out there for you guys. It's kind of a way of incentivizing you to go and doing some hunting of your own. All right, so let's go ahead and check out some of the latest sales, and these are, of course, all on eBay. Last, I would say, 25, 30 days worth. Yeah, I'm going to say it, when you're going to resell these, make sure you take a full picture of the slab front and back, along with any relevant close-ups. Like this, to me, is a great picture of the label. However, I'd like to see a full slab. I mean, if you go on Great Collections, if you go on Heritage Auctions, they take not only close-ups of the obverse and reverse, but they also take a full image of the slab on the front and reverse. So kind of, they model the way just perfectly for reselling of these type of things. So go ahead and just, kind of do that. And you're going to be doing yourself a lot bigger favor by just being more of a completionist when it comes to the photography. But we have a 1962. This is a Lincoln cent. Mint error, PCGS AU58. So this thing is about uncirculated. Seen a little bit of circulation out there. This one was struck on a Philip 10-cent planchet. Philip being Philippines. So Philippines 10 centavos planchet. It's going to look like this. Coin is slightly a little bit smaller, a little bit thinner, and it's going to be more of this nickel-y, silvery color. All right. Again, the off-metal strikes and the foreign planchet strikes, we saw quite a few of those during the 50s and 60s, more so kind of like the earlier stages of the 1960s, hence this 1962. But overall, I would say, bar none, this is one of those coins that's like an auto grade. For the fact that you need to identify what the host coin is, or the host planchet is. That's important to collectors of this type of error, which, by the way, it's a pretty good amount of people that actually like collecting these things. But also, the overall value. It's very rarely do you see these things sell for $100 to $200. It's going to be a hard sell raw. Again, for the obvious reasons. If you're unsure of what the host planchet is, and you're trying to sell that thing raw, yeah, that's where you could get in a little bit of trouble. This one right here ended up selling for $560 with 26 bids. This one was actually just yesterday. Fresh sale for you. There's your seller, 08 Soccer. Just a really good sale. I think that this is kind of like par for the course. You know, that $500 to about $600-700 is what I've normally seen some of these 50s and 60s Lincolns on these various planchets would go for. Right, the next one that we have here, this time we have a 1980p Jefferson nickel that was struck on a 1-cent planchet. The planchet weighed 3.1 grams, which falls in line with the earlier pre-1982 bronze alloy, which is 98% copper, 2% tin. That's how that makeup is. But the coin is going to exhibit more of a reddish color. All right, and then of course the coin is going to be smaller than the standard Jefferson nickel. You'll see that this is an NGC Mint State 64 red brown. They do designate color on these, in case you were wondering, and just an overall interesting coin. We've seen a few of these sell online, not graded, and they usually, you know, hit that $200 to $300 mark. So where did this one end up at? How about $279 before any shipping fees is where this one eventually sold for. Which again, you can make the argument that you don't need to grade this one, but it certainly does not hurt the cause, because, you know, it's going to give, you know, your buyer that warm and fuzzy feeling of getting a coin that is a legitimate error rather than something that was fabricated. So yeah, pretty solid sale here. $279 is right in line with the value of a lot of these. All right, the next one that we have here, and I promise this is going to be the last kind of like off metal strike coin. We could do a whole video on that because eBay is just rife with them. There was probably a good maybe 50 or 60 off metal strikes just in the last 30 days between PCGS, NGC, and Annex. We have 19, or we don't have nothing here. We don't have any date because this Washington quarter was struck on a silver 10-cent planchet. So, I mean, we'll just assume that it's a pre-1965 coin. If it's a 90% silver plan. This one is a PCGS Mint State 63. There's a little bit of a close-up for you of the obverse and reverse of the coin. You can even see that there's a Denver mint mark on this one, which is on the reverse under the center of the wreath there, or you know, right under the eagle's tail feather area. I mean, it's plain as day. So that pretty much concludes that this one is indeed a 90% silver era strike or era struck coin. Good looking coin, no doubt about it. This one should be in a graded holder, and of course when it's being sold by one of the premier error dealers on the face of the earth, and that's Sullivan Numismatics. Yeah, I mean, you know, oftentimes 99% of his stuff is going to be in a graded holder, and with good reason. He untaps a pretty major market of some of the rarest, you know, coins that you'll ever come across in the error community. This one ended up selling for $495 here a few days ago. So beautiful coin, good looking coin. Again, one that is warranted of any grading. All right, this one's really interesting. So I've seen some partial plating and completely missing plating Lincoln cents over the years. All right, but this one right here has that kind of targeted bullseye appearance, which I think is really cool. This one right here is a PCGS Mint State 62 red. It's a 1983D, so it falls in line date-wise to an era where we have the copper-coated Zinkins. So this one up close looks like this. Actually, really phenomenal looking targeted plating issue on both sides. Now, some people are going to say, well, how do you know that that is not, you know, an acid-dipped coin? Okay, so here's the thing that I can tell you about acid and the way that it affects these Zinkins, is that once it permeates through the copper plating, it's going to immediately erode at the zinc core. This particular coin is completely clean. It doesn't show any of that. So the planchet had its plating issues already before the coin was struck. All right, with any acid dip coin, you're going to find that that core zinc area is going to show a pebbly, rough kind of erosion that I've seen on a bunch of other coins. People love experimenting with these early Zincans, but pretty neat coin nonetheless. Where'd this one end up at? $399.97. Kind of like these partial platings. I am under the impression that depending on the overall size and appearance of it, this one, of course, is a double-sided plating issue, which is quite similar on both sides. It's a very eye-appealing, like the listing entails from CTF. I think this coin is worthy of graded holder, just based off of that premise alone. So if you have something like this, and you have a nice swath of copper, and it's targeted and all that stuff, this is going to help your chances of making more money on the secondary market when it's in a graded holder. Now, this is the best pictures that this particular listing could muster. We have a 1937D three-legged buffalo. Now, this is a VG10 through PCGS, which is, for people that collect into this particular variety, which, by the way, has been known for decades. People want the much better, nicer grades. VG10, of course, is no slouch when it comes to one of the well-known varieties of our time. People want, VFs. They want the XFs. They want a full struck, full-horned example. And the price isn't going to be that much higher. So with a VG10, you would think that this thing isn't worth a whole lot, but, the floor of this particular coin is quite high. So even if it's a VG10 or a good, or maybe in certain areas, maybe an AG, which there are too many of those out there in the three legs, the coin will still fetch quite a bit of a market value. This one ended at $540 with 17 bids. This one was sold on June 27th, so roughly about a week ago is where this one ended at. And here's another good variety here. Again, remains to be seen if grading these this day and age is worth it, especially in much higher condition. This is the 2004D Wisconsin Statehood quarter. And of course, this is one of the leaf varieties. This one is actually the extra high leaf type. This one is a PCGS Mid-State 64 graded example. This one ended at $250. So what I've seen is most raw examples have sold for around $100. Most graded examples, as long as they hit around 64 and up, have consistently sold for around $250 plus. So, again, this is going to be a matter of, is it worth it sending this thing out and waiting about, 30 to 45 days to get it back, just so I can make an extra $50 on it? So that's going to be a question you're going to have to ask yourself. I mean, no doubt about it, you will make a few dollars sending this out, if and only if the coin will grade at a 64 and higher, because that seems to be the grade that is most desirable for people that want this coin. All right, this one's neat. Again, affecting a very, very meaningful date. The bicentennial era of coins, if it's the quarter, the half dollar that you see here, or the Ike dollar, are all highly coveted with errors. All right, and we've seen some pretty uplifting type of market values just in the last 24 months. And, here's another one right here. This one is 10% off center, but it looks a lot more than that. It's a visually stunning example of this type of error. It could have been a lot more radical, sure. But, I think this one is just fine the way it is. Now, it's a PCGS Mid-State 64. Of course, it's the clad version. And, yeah, it's a Philadelphia minted coin, by the way. There's a little bit of a close-up. These are actually very impressive photos of this coin, showing all the luster and the cleanliness of the coin. Overall, just a beautiful example. Did not have a price on this one. I forgot to put that on there. But this one ended up selling for right around $400, from what I remember. So again, another really good sale here on this one. But overall, bicentennial errors of all types, from minor to major, are going to continue to be strong sellers in the future. So you already saw it. We have a one of the good old Fred Weinberg collection pieces. I think this was sold during the CSNS Heritage Auction Show, and got subsequently flipped on eBay, which didn't take too long. This is a 1955 Lincoln cent. This is, of course, the premier variety of our time, the doubled die obverse, or the FS 101 for the cherry picker's guide enthusiasts. But check out that little one last line of text on that label. It says clipped planchet. Okay, now I'm going to just say it. Clipped planchets are generally bottom feeder type of errors on any coin. But, you know, when it's affected on one of the biggest varieties ever, it's actually very meaningful. So there's your clip, and boy, this is the most nonsensical coin I've come across in quite a while. The clip is barely anything worth mentioning, but it's there. But it was attributed by PCGS, and of course it's a Weinberg piece, so no big surprise there. This one, a huge coin at $4,900 is where this one ended up at. Some would speculate that, you know, a clip or a lamination on some of these high-profile varieties would actually make the coin less desirable. But, you know, here's one case where it superseded that a little bit and ended up selling for a erstwhile amount of money. $4,900 is a lot. I don't recall how much this one sold for on Heritage. You know, if you're curious, I mean, you can check it out. But $4,900 is you know, that's a pretty big deal of a number for this coin as a 62 red brown by PCGS. Now, one of the most stunning looking coins on this week's list, or this month's list rather, is going to be this, what is this? This is a John Adams, right? A John Adams presidential dollar, which is triple struck. The third strike is 80% off center. And guess what? A little bit icing on the cake. Missing edge lettering is what this one has. It's dated 2007, but we don't know what mint it came from. I would highly suspect that maybe the Philadelphia Mint had something to do with this one. But all in all, it's a PCGS Mint State 65. There's a little bit of a close-up of the coin for you. Again, there's a lot to look at on this one. And again, impressive. You just don't see errors of this magnitude on these presidential dollar coins. You know, outside of that, it's a rather unspectacular series to collect into. It did have its fans, but not nearly enough to support the overall series through the long haul. This one sold for $719.99. I believe this was sold about 2 weeks ago. That's where this one was at. But yeah, great to see something like this. Just a really neat piece. And here's another one here too. Again, this is probably going to be a coin that you could stare at for a good solid half an hour. You know, just really marveling at what we're experiencing. This is a 2000 Lincoln Memorial cent. I mean, read the text. It's got a lot there. PCGS Mint State 64 red, quadruple struck. So the second, third, and fourth strikes were all off center. Here's a little bit of a close up. My goodness. This thing is a virtual Where's Waldo, you know, puzzle. It just look at the thing. It's crazy. But yeah, this is pretty insane. I would suspect that this was probably found in a mint-sewn bag back in the day, back when they were still distributing, you know, actual bags of coins from the Federal Reserve Bank. I mean, this one probably had a pretty big price tag. It did. $700 is what this one ended up at. Again, another Sullivan numismatics piece. You know, yeah, he has some bomb stuff. And here's another one. Here's another neat one here, albeit the pictures aren't fantastic for this one. I think it doesn't do the coin quite the justice it deserves. So this is a 2009 Native American dollar coin. Yes, it also has missing edge lettering, and it's double struck in collar. The coin's technical grade is a mid-state 66 through PCGS. And a lot of your doubling or double struck features are on the reverse. You can see the shadow of the second one there, but you also there were some close-ups of the peripheral letters or these devices here, and you could see it just the same as well. Can't really see it too well here on the obverse, but that's what we're dealing with here. Double struck coins by nature are very valuable, and oftentimes you see them graded, so that's going to be one of those instances where you might want to consider it an auto grade 100% of the time. This one right here is a best offer of $550 is what was agreed upon by the buyer and seller on this. So again, another very, very nice piece, very nice dollar value. You guys can always go back and take a look at this coin because there are close-ups of some of the devices there. Even a little close-up of the missing edge lettering too. Now, this is a coin that doesn't have any error attribution on the label. So this is going to be one of those, kind of roll the die type of scenarios. But this is one that I think paid off pretty good dividends for the seller. It's a 2022 P Maya Angelou American Women's Series quarter. This one is an NGC mid-state 67, but the real reason why that this one is here is because it has that little twig die scratch or die gouge right on there. So yeah, I mean, this was all the rage a few months ago, but people were finding these left and right, and there just became way too many of them. This particular seller ended up capitalizing a little bit on this this anomaly. Had 6 of them available for sale, sold through 4 of them with 2 left at $229.95 a pop. Is where Taz was marketing these. So a few more left. I have no doubt that he'll sell these here pretty soon before long. So pretty good sale here. And another one that I have a personal affinity for because, gosh, I just don't own one of these in my collection. One day I will, all right? I will own one of these in my collection. And again, I missed out on another just beautiful one here, 2007 P Roosevelt Dime. This one is an obverse retained die break. The crazy rim-to-rim die break crack, whatever you want to call it, on some of these mid-2000s Roosevelt Dimes are breathtaking if you've never seen it. This is an NGC mid-state 64, and there you go. I mean, this one needs no introduction whatsoever. The obverse die was in a very terminal state at this point, therefore showing all sorts of its potential with these strikes with a die that essentially it cracked in half at this point with a lot of other small stress cracks in there. This one right here is a beast of a coin that ended up at $415 as the final sale price. Again, very, 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 very nice coin. These are going to age well, I would imagine. So, I'll say this, on much more circulated examples of this, you probably don't need to grade it. They still sell very strong on the marketplace. And, if you need to, just go ahead and sell it as opposed to grading it. Now, if you have a really nice premium specimen like this one here, no doubt about it, send it off to NGC. You'll be doing yourself a huge favor. And the final coin for this edition of the graded Pocket Change Market Report video is going to be this 1906D $20 double eagle. It's showing broad struck as being the error on here. And this one is NGC AU58. So, before we look at the final price on this one, this is crazy. First, you're going to notice, even before we looked at close-ups, the broad strike isn't too terribly crazy. It's a very minor broad strike in a sense of errors. And another thing to note, an AU58 of this Denver minted coin right here is $2,500. All right, and I'm using PCGS price guide values, not NGC, to kind of illustrate one thing. All right, so there's the full pictures of the obverse and reverse. Again, beautiful looking coin. You can see how minor this broad strike is. It's got a little bit fatter rim here on the left side of the coin. Again, nothing really to write home to mother about. I'm sure this coin was passed around like a peace pipe for a number of years through dealer services and all that stuff without even paying any attention to the fact that it is a minor error. But what I say, $2,500 for the price guide value. This one sold for 4x, $10,000. Again, all because of that minor error. So, you know, again, dealers and people in general have been passing this thing around for a few $1,000s, not really realizing the opportunity that it could be worth a lot more as a minor error. Off-center strikes and broad strikes are really quite scarce on a lot of our early pre-1933 gold. So that's the big reason why that this one even sniffed a 5-figure payday. Pretty crazy. And again, it is what it is. That's just a market for you. But that's going to go ahead and do it on this Independence Day episode of the Pocket Change Market Report. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Quick little look. Due to popular demand, by the way, of some graded examples of what we have here. And just kind of as an ad on here, we still have the Pinehurst coins silver round promotion going on through the rest of today. July 4th is the last day of this promo. You could get yourself one of those Buffalo rounds for only $1.99 over spot price, which is the cheapest rate of silver out there to be had if you're not a dealer. All right, caveat, if you're not a dealer. But go ahead and use the coupon code Shaun, and that's spelled S-H-A-U-N. I'll have the description link, or the link in the description box below if you guys are interested in picking up a little bit of that silver for your stack. Now's the time to do it. Price of silver dropped on Friday, so that makes it a little bit more cheaper. That's the good news. But all in all, that's it for this edition of the PCMR. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'm your host, Shaun. Don't forget to LS and S on my channel or video if you haven't done so already. I'm also on TikTok at BlueRidgeSilverhound. You guys have a very safe July 4th. I will see you guys on the next video. All right, take care, y'all.